Oh,
Welcome, welcome.
hi.
It's wonderful to see everyone, most everyone on screens everywhere. Uh, this session is intended to be very conversational and helpful to those who are considering running for the AMEC board, which, as you all know, is the pulse of AMEC leadership. Um, Welcome to everyone joining. We have several members, and we are recording this for those members who couldn't join us today. But around this time of year, when we launch the AMEC elections, there's always a lot of questions. So, in the spirit of community, I thought, what better way than to facilitate a group discussion and a town hall around the AMEC board elections to dispel some of the mystery around it and to be very transparent with our members about what this is. This is not some scary process. And this is definitely meant to be inclusive of all of our members who are in a position to step up to a leadership role. So I would be remiss and crazy if I didn't first start by talking about all of the board directors that we currently have on the executive board. And we'll start with Reina Lazarova, who represents RuPoint, a muck rock company, for the full members, and she is the current AMEC chair. She's been on the board since 2022. Aldo Vietri is representing Edelman as the LATAM chapter chair. Amrita Sidhu is representing MediaNet for full members, and she has been the co-lead of the AMEC Member Lab and a board director since 2023. Anna Salter, who is representing Onclusive for full members, and she took over this seat from Phil, replacing Phil Lynch from the 2025 term. Asim Sood, representing Impact Research and Measurement. For full members, he's worked on projects like the AMEC Glossary and several things, as well as being the prior chair to Rennie. And he is also a former APAC chair, so he has covered many different bases in his journey. We have Ben Levine representing Fleischman Hilliard, and he has worked on the Barcelona Principles 4.0 work group as a main contributor. Also, Ben was on the Barcelona Principles 3.0 work group. So, we see a trend here about those really important initiatives. Ben is always there raising his hand. We have Camille Raymond, who is representing the OECD for the not-for-profit members, and she is the not-for-profit SIG chair. So we are very grateful to her and have been since 2023. Carlos Diaz, who is representing Global News as a full member. He was a contributor for the Barcelona Principles 4.0 this last year and elected in 2025. Claire Pym, formerly representing the Cabinet Office, worked on the Barcelona Principles 4.0 group and now is with Life Arc and has been a board director since 2021. Esther Kagiri, sorry if I mispronounced her last name, Esther, representing GlobeTrack for associate members, and she was also a Barcelona Principal 4.0 contributor and elected to the board just last year. Francois Van Dyke, representing Ornico for full members, also the Middle East and Africa chapter chair. And this seat is up for election this year, but he is a long-term running director, chapter lead, worked on such things as the production of the foundation course, and always a strong voice for judging and other elements. Felicia Nugruho, who is representing Maverick as the APAC chapter chair. Felicia has been on the board since 2022. James Crawford, representing PR Agency 1 for associate members. He is the agency lead and has been a board member since 2022. Jerry Ward, representing Press Data for full members and long-term returning director of more than 10 years. Kali Sakas, who is representing Karma for full members and was a Barcelona Principal 4.0 contributor. Kyle Mason, representing Shell as the in-house special interest group lead. And he has been on the board since 2024. Both Kyle and Phil actually did an annual review of the award categories and criteria. Mary Elizabeth Germain, representing Ketchum as the North America Chapter Region Chair, has been a board director since 2022. Matt Oakley, representing Hotwire for the Global Agency Research Member, has been a board member for several years now, was elected most recently in 2025. Maya Kaliva, representing Cometric for full members, is a long-term returning board director, I think since 2018, and is a strong voice on our education chapter area. Raina Degrova DeLang, and we call her Raina, and Raina Lazarova Runny because Raina has been on the board since 2021, slightly longer, and she is representing Insight HQ for the associate members. She has been the education group chair for many, many years and is working on the current revision of the tutorial course underway under her leadership. We have Richard Bagnall, who's representing Comms Clarity. He led the Barcelona Principles 4.0 working group. Richard was a longtime chair of AMEC and a contributor to the M3 and the IEF. Rob Key, representing Conversian for associate members. He leads the Data Quality Initiative and was a Barcelona Principle 4.0 contributor. Watch this space for more on the Data Quality Initiative as AI heats up. This is increasingly important. And Rob has been on the board since 2024. Simon Gebauer, representing Observer for the full members, also as the European chair. Steph Bridgman, representing experienced media analyst for small consultancy members and the co-lead of the Member Lab. She has been a board member since 2022. And last but not least, since we went in alphabetical order, we have Tim Zetchin, representing Profit for full members and was elected in a tie position for 2025. So as you can tell, we have a lot of experienced, amazing people who lead the organization, which is why there are so many people who can reference us punching above our weight, right? In so many different areas, because we have great regional diversity, we have great experience diversity, and we have a lot of people who are just beautifully committed to doing a great job, even in volunteer positions. Now, a couple of basic housekeeping things. As a normal board director, you would think that there might be some amazing liability, houses being leveraged, mortgages being reviewed. There isn't. Our board directors, while they are very judicious and they are very conscientious, we make sure that they have no financial liability as things are going on, because it is important that people, in a volunteer position, while they are committed, they are working very hard, they don't have any looming liability that they have to talk to their partners about for why this is so important to them to leverage their home in some way. So that is an important understanding for everybody to have. Now, a couple of expectations that we have of the board members. Yes, it is not glory and fame, glitz and glimmer. There are expectations, and that is, it is usually best if it's someone who has some P&L responsibility that they can be scheduled to support the events. As an example, at the most recent board meeting in Vienna during the summit, where we had the majority of our board members there in person, we need support of efforts and initiatives that are going on in AMEC. So what does that mean? The board members who are there saying, yes, of course we should do an AI day right before the global awards because we have a team of 3. So why wouldn't we add another event in the calendar? So what does that mean? Not is this just a great idea, but that those board members are also committing to supporting that event, which means day 1, when registration opens, we have 24 registrations to the event. It doesn't mean that everybody who can't make it in person needs to be there, but we do have that support of the board. The same with our global summit, right? If you are on the board, you should be supporting those initiatives that you are putting out there as a priority for the awards. So that's why we say, if someone who's going to be on the board, they need to be at a senior to mid-level role. Ideally, they'll have some P&L responsibility so that they can commit to that support in that mechanism in that way during those events. And obviously, the global awards, right? These are the ways, some of the ways that AMEC brings in revenue to be able to be sustainable. Our board directors also need to be supporting our education efforts. Why? Because education is a key to the growth and development of professionals to make our industry again sustainable. So these board members are with P&L responsibilities are able to put their team members through those programs. That's why we know that a diploma course that we are just launching, investing in all of the production, they are able to identify a couple of their team members who they can put through that program. So while it isn't necessary to think about it from, oh, if I don't have a big team, what can I do? There are a lot of ways that you can support, right? We do look to our board members to be able to help support through sponsorships, both finding sponsors and being a sponsor themselves, through recruitment of members, both paying their invoices on time. Yes, there's nothing worse than having to chase a board member. Luckily, our board makes that a minimal. So but there are expectations that the board, understanding the constraints of the executive team, they are mindful of that. And they make every effort to make sure that that is a smooth, fluid process as they go through these things. And that's really, some of that key criteria is really critical when we're looking at the board positions and in that election process. So when you're thinking about, shouldn't I put myself up for a nomination? Those are some things to take into consideration. And just for a point of reference, we have 5 full member vacancies in this election term and 3 associate member vacancies in this election term. We also have our Middle East and Africa, our LATAM, our European, and the North American chapter leadership is all up for re-election too. Wait, did you forget Felicia? No, I would never forget Felicia or Ifrin, but their election was last term. So their term goes through the end of 2026. So, breathless as ever because this is exciting. As you can tell, we have several of our board members here on the town hall meeting too. And so what I will do is I will open it up for all of your questions. If you'll please just put those in the chat. And then I would like to have a couple of board directors kind of raise their hand and we can call on you so that you can talk about your experience on the board, why this is important, and how this has helped your organization, how this has helped your personal growth, and how this helps you in market to be able to be an evangelist of AMEC in a meaningful way. Who would like to get us started? Otherwise, I will go in alphabetical order or in the order of my screen, which may or may not be as ideal for everybody. Let's see. All right. I am going to start with existing board member, Amrita Sidhu.
Thank you, Jonna. Hi, everyone on this call who's watching it live or is watching the on-demand recording. And lovely to see a number of fellow board members on this call as well, as always. So I have been on the AMEC Global Board for a couple of years now. I think I'm halfway through my second term, which was I think I was re-elected last year, if I recall correctly. So I'm halfway through my second term. I'd say as a leader of the MediaNet business, there are probably a couple of key benefits I'd like to talk about being, on the board and what I've gotten out of it. Firstly, would be the networks that I have been able to make and the knowledge share and the relationships that I have built up with the fellow board directors, and really, the ability to have very in-depth conversations. Felicia and I had one of them not too long ago, for example, about business challenges, opportunities, what's going on, and just really have good share with like-minded, business leaders in the measurement and the communication space. The second big benefit, which is more of an organizational benefit rather than an individual one, is that through AMEC and through meeting other members, MediaNet was able to unlock two really vital business partnerships that have, over the last couple of years, absolutely supercharged our organization from a measurement capability and a technology perspective, and have very frankly driven excellent, Jonna mentioned their P&L responsibility, but excellent bottom line for the P&L as well. So, great personal individual growth, relationships, meeting people, learning from people, a lot smarter than me in the room who are on the board, and then a real strong, measurable business benefit has also come out of it from the people I have met through the board as well. So I'm just going to keep it short and sweet, Jonna, and just talk about those two things.
Thanks so much, Amrita. That's great. Reina, let me go to you, please. And then I will go to Simon, who has just raised his hand. Thank you for volunteering, Simon.
Donna, and so nice to see you. So I've been on the board already for 4 years. I'm at the end of my second term, but it feels like longer because I've been the chair of the Education Commission since 2016. And we've been working with board members quite actively on all educational resources or training courses we've been working on in the Education Commission. So I had a lot of conversations before I actually had the courage to go for elections the first time with board members. I've always been seeing you guys as friends rather as fellow board members. And many people have been asking me why didn't I go for elections? And I'm like, no, that's not for me. That's too much work, too much responsibility, and I'm developing my own business, so I can't really take this extra burden on my shoulders. And then at some point I decided to go for it. And I'm so happy I made this decision because to me, AMEC is the organization, not only to me, but also to my company. AMEC is the organization which is extremely important for our broader industry to develop, to not only to set best practices, but just to excel in everything we do. So to contribute to all these efforts and to be with all these people in the room and really working hard to make this happen in reality means a lot to me. And the second thing, which I love about AMEC Board in particular, and about the whole AMEC community, is the openness of mind and the openness in terms of people are always happy and open to share their own expertise, their own experience. There are no boundaries, I would say. And we have very open discussions. So I've never felt like I have to, keep my thoughts for myself. The whole atmosphere, the whole spirit has been always very welcoming and extremely free and open.
Wonderful. Thanks, Reina. One follow-up question for you. When you recently went through a merger of your business and introduced your new business partner to AMEC, what was her feedback on the community?
Well, open, friendly, lovely, working hard and having fun at the same time.
Wonderful. That's important because as your organizations grow, change, expand, this is a community that you should feel very comfortable welcoming your new teams, your new leadership into. It is a very inviting and very friendly organization. And friendly isn't just, handshake and glad handling. Friendly is this openness that both Amrita and Reina have talked about. No one's gatekeeping. People want to talk about the big problems and the big challenges together so that we can find solutions. I want to go over to you now, Simon.
Thanks, Jonna. Hi, most of you know me. I'm Simon, representing Full Member Observer and serving as a board director for 2 terms already now, so I will run for re-election for the next term, also for the chapter. And just two things I'd like to point out in regards of my experiences on the benefits of board representation. So the one thing definitely is the personal and professional growth for myself. So this is something really crucial that helps me as a person, as a thought leader in the industry, and therefore not only me as a person, but also in this case, observer, so the company that I'm representing. So that's definitely something that pays off. And from the membership side, so from the full member, the observer in this case, I see it not so much as a business opportunity in regards of business cases. It's more as also Reina said, it's a commitment towards the industry, because it's so crucial that this industry develops and has a strong voice. And only with professional organizations like AMEC it will be possible to remain and develop and increase the standard. So it definitely is a commitment of the membership is the one commitment, committing my time to the board is the other commitment. And I think that's so important. So I'd really like to encourage everybody to get engaged and commit this time, because the whole industry will benefit from this commitment. So.
Thank you so much, Simon. And we do appreciate you, an observer who was the host of the 2022 AMEC Global Summit, the headline sponsor. So not a small contribution, and, gave us all the taste for breaking out of COVID and our first taste for Vienna. That was very important. So thank you to you, an observer, for all of your support. And now I want to go to Camille Raymond. Camille is our head of the NFP group, which is one of our most active special interest groups. And I don't know that there was an official vote, but I do think they were the most active and happiest lunch table at the last global summit. So that's a category now. Just be on the lookout for that. Camille, can you talk about your experience on the board and how that's worked for you and the value that you get both as an individual and in that thought leadership back to the OECD community?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, so I work at the OECD, and so I'm the chair of the non-for-profit group. I benefited a lot from AMEC, and I think professionally it really helps to connect to global leaders in communication and in measurement. And for the non-for-profit group, we don't have any sales to monitor. We are trying to measure the effectiveness of communication in terms of influence, in terms of protecting our reputation. And so it's a group who really enjoyed AMEC, who really comes usually in a big group to understand the latest technologies, to understand what can be the standards we should have. And as part of the board, for me, it has really helped me to improve the evaluation practices, also be able to understand from peers, but from measurement companies, what we could implement, how we could innovate in our field, and share that within the community of the non-for-profit. And personally, I would say that it's been really equally rewarding. Everyone, I think, mentioned this AMEC community, and it's true that it's something very collaborative, generous. Anyone is always available for giving time to support each other, and this is something that it's truly appreciated. So really, I would say that if you're looking to strengthen your expertise, contribute also to shaping the future of communication evaluation, because I think that's also something quite rewarding to be part of this. And join, I would say, a great group. I think AMEC is the place I would recommend.
Ah, wonderful. These are not paid testimonials For everyone who is clear, these are volunteers who are maximizing the experience. And now I'll go to one of the happiest people on the board. That is Felicia Nugroho. Happy in general, also happy that she is not up for re-election this year, facing the stress and the pressures of the ongoing election cycle that are upcoming. Felicia, can you talk a little bit about your experience on the board and what AMEC means for you and your organization?
Thank you, Jonah. Hi, everyone, fellow board directors and everybody else who's here. Yeah, I think I have been in the board since 2022. And that was the time I was quite surprised when I was pretty much picked to fill in Asim Sood's shoes as an APEC chair at the time. And it was quite a big shoes to fill in. It has been a really rewarding experience to be part of AMEC board directors. And I think echoing some of the things that Amrita and some of the others have said it, that you know, it's being part of AMEC board directors is like being part of this really big community. And there's so much to learn from. I think that's one of the biggest takeaway for me, as I'm wearing two hats in Asia Pacific as well. Whatever that I can get and to learn from, I'm actually able to translate that and share that to drive this measurement and evaluation in the region. So I think this is something that has been quite an honor to be part of, to learn from the best of the best in communication evaluation. And I think also being part of this community is not only I learned so much from, but it is a really fun bunch of people. So I think you have fun as well as learning a lot. And particularly for Maverick, we are quite a small independent agency. And I think we have been able to share a lot of the knowledge that we take, you know, from AMEC community, not only for our clients, but also to share this, to build the thought leadership in the industry in Indonesia and across Asia, in particular Southeast Asia, as this is the region that's still transitioning from, you know, output-based metrics. So yeah, it has been quite an honor, and it's a wonderful experience.
Wonderful. Thank you, Felicia. And obviously you've heard fun a lot, and it is a fun group, but I mean, this also kind of gives you a sense of the real left brain leaders that we have, because this requires a minimum of 4 board meetings a year. Normally 2 of those are in person. Normally people aren't clamoring for a board meeting, but this group all in, and we love it. Sometimes during, you know, as a lead up to events, we'll have some other shorter meetings, but we do try to have at least 2 of those meetings in person each year too, again, so that it kind of builds that bond of the team and of all of our members all together, always looking for more in-person time. All right, I'm going to go to Tim now.
Thanks, Jonah. Hi, everyone. So I think probably quite interesting for me, because I only joined the board back in January, so I'm only 9 months in. So maybe a few observations from me being a bit of a newbie on the team. First of all, and I think you've heard it referenced on the call today already, the collaboration that the team have is genuinely impressive. So, you know, you're always a bit skeptical if you're going to join an industry board about, you know, how people that might be competitors or come from, you know, sort of different lines in the industry are going to get along and actually have those kind of meaningful discussions around those challenges. But it is genuinely impressive, and particularly because it's quite a big group. I thought, you know, nobody's going to get a chance to get in word in edgeways and how you're going to have a meaningful discussion. But actually, the meetings are chaired really well. The discussions are genuinely meaningful, and people are constructive in them. They don't hold back. So I found that super valuable. you do have to be proactive in getting involved. You can't just sit on the sidelines, I think, is one thing that I've learned over the last 9 months. So, you know, there are these opportunities that come up to join side groups or working groups on particular topics. And you've got to get in there quick, because actually everybody's so passionate. Those spots go quite quickly. So I think be prepared for that. You know what you want to get involved in, and put your hand up at the earliest opportunity, because yeah, it's pretty competitive out there. It does change your attitude, is the other thing that I've found, like particularly internally. So I've always on the sidelines been a supporter of AMEC, and you know, made sure that we've supported things like the awards each year and kept up to date with the principles, etc. But when you're a board member, you go back with the flag into your organization. And you know, my business, Profit, has just joined an organization that has a whole bunch of PR agencies in there, people trying to achieve different things. But it gives me the confidence and the knowledge to take the AMEC opportunities, challenges, ways of working back into that organization, and spread the good word. So I've almost become a bit evangelical, I would say, over the last 9 months about AMEC. And the last thing, I actually wrote this down, you know, right when you asked for comments at the beginning of the call, Jonah, but everybody has said the same word. I put it in capital letters, but it's actually pretty fun. It's a great group of people. I think the good humor, the openness makes for a really productive and creative group. So I would certainly recommend it to anybody after the first 9 months. But do make sure you get in the WhatsApp group straight away, because that is where all the real decisions and discussions happen. So that's my one recommendation if you're successful in getting elected.
Great, thanks, Tim. Anna, I'm going to put you on the spot just briefly. Anna has taken over the term from Phil Lynch, which is an important distinction. The organization holds the seat. So I bring this to Anna quickly. So when Phil changed roles and left Onclusive, someone from Onclusive is then in the position to complete his term, which in this case ends at the end of this year. So we've only had Anna for one meeting, but it is an important position and a unique experience that you have of being able to take over that role and how that works. So a couple of words from you, please, Anna.
Yes, thanks, Jonna. So I have been around AMEC in one way or another my entire very long career in media analysis. So I was putting in for the very first AMEC Awards back in the day. I don't even know what year that was, but before a lot of people I now work with were born, probably. So I've been around AMEC. It's been in the ether for me for a very long time. So I really didn't quite know what to expect when I rocked up for my first board meeting. But first of all, I can say that, yes, everybody's right. It was fun. There was a very warm atmosphere. And given that I was sitting, listening, being a bit of a wallflower because I didn't want to put my foot in it or whatever, it was very enjoyable. But for me, having been around all of that background for many years, it was great to see all of the enthusiasm, commitment, and sort of selflessness. There wasn't any tribalism around, you know, people being from different organizations, because, you know, we do pitch against each other, let's face it, sometimes. So that was really impressive. I loved the professionalism, I loved the vibe. So it's a little bit top level from me, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm now slightly concerned from what Felicia said about stress levels. So I think that's going to be my question back to the group, with the, you know, this business about the elections, what's involved, because I'm up in a few weeks time. So if anybody can answer that question, maybe that's going to be one we can come to later on.
Perfect. That is going to be the next section that we will cover. But first, speaking of being on the board for a long time and being involved with AMEC for a long time, it would be ridiculous to end with anyone other than our very own Richard Bagnall, who has been involved with AMEC since the beginning. Hard to believe that a man of such youth and vigor has been around this industry for such a long time. But yes, it's true. Over to you, Richard Bagnall.
Well, there you go. So I began my career in PR and moved into measurement and evaluation, and I stopped aging at that moment. So it's a great advert to everybody. Move into measurement and evaluation for a life with no stress and no aging. But look, hi everyone. Thank you for the introduction. thank you to everyone for those great comments. I echo all of them. As Jonna says, AMEC my original business was one of the founder members. So it's something like 28, 29 years ago. And I've been a member since then. I've been on the board more years than I actually know what they are, but I've had a number of terms. And as Jonna mentioned earlier, I've been chairman for 3 terms as well. One of my dirty secrets, I have a few measurement related dirty secrets. One of them is, for someone who's been a member for so long and the chairman of the association 3 times, I was very anti my original business joining it, and didn't understand what its purpose would be, because at the time it was very much a vendor only association, and I was competitive and I couldn't see a reason of why we would want to help our competitors to be better. And my business partner, a chap called Mark, said to me, well, you see, Baggers, the reason is that we need to be a voice of best practice for the industry, and we need to help everyone improve, because a rising tide lifts all ships. And that's a terminology that I think has stuck with me and guided me and the association ever since. We exist to be a calm voice of credible best practice for the global community of comms and PR professionals. Although we're not a charity, we're not a not-for-profit, we do invest all of our surplus income back into educational support for the global PR and comms industry, to help it understand how to measure in a relevant and meaningful way, which of course matters more now than it ever has done, because there's so much snake oil out there, there's so much confusion, and there's so much pressure, and PR and comms pros are being asked to do more with less, and their sort of default way of thinking is to outsource measurement and evaluation to a dashboard, whereas actually that's the sort of polar opposite of what they really need to be doing right now. So the need for us as a credible community of global experts has never been greater. And I think by becoming a member, and by becoming a member of our board, we're looking for all people from all areas to help us on that mission, to strengthen us and help us propel that consistent voice. I totally echo the community and networking. I've met some incredible people. We began as a group of media intelligence vendors, but we are not that now. There's still some thinking where people can default to that, but I think it's very important to say that, and Nick, it's great to see you on the call. Thank you for joining. It's really important to say that over many years now, we have evolved from just being media intelligence vendors to having membership categories in multiple different areas. So we've heard from Camille today, who's the not-for-profit, the charity effectively, and arm's length body type organization membership group. We have a flourishing and growing in-house community as well. It's led currently by Carl Mason, who's on our board. Carl is head of evaluation and analytics for Shell, so just a small job there. But we have an academic group, we have a PR agency group. We heard about James Crawford as well, who's currently leading the PR agency group. So we have all of these different stakeholders, if you like, within the PR and comms community. And Nick, specifically, the in-house group is an area that we really would welcome your contribution and your voice. There's multiple ways that you can get involved within that group. I think a problem shared is a problem halved for people who are in-house. I think one of the ambitions is that group can evolve to be somewhere where it's a safe space for you to talk with other in-house leaders about what you've done, what's worked, what hasn't, why, get recommendations and tips on different suppliers if needs be, on who you might consider if something's not working out or if something's going particularly well. And we want to hear from the in-house professionals as well about what it is that they need, because only then can the rest of the community iterate and make services and product that's appropriate for that market as well. So I think it's a really important role that group would play. We have a number of different special interest groups and other work groups where you can get involved. Some special interests, some working across areas. So John mentioned some of the things. I most recently led the Barcelona Principles Refresh, but there's always some new educational refresh going on where we encourage and welcome diverse thinking, and particularly with your role across Europe at Honda, hearing from your team as well about, well, look, that's all very well in the UK, but what do we really need in Spain, or why might this not work in Romania, or whichever it is that the markets that you're leading, because we know that it can be very tempting to speak as if everybody's on the same page, but of course they're not, and we need to hear that voice as well. But look, I've been a member for since it began. Comms Clarity is a tiny little consultancy. Paul Hendra and I run it. It's just us two giving advice, but we've made sure that we've put some of our very limited budget into supporting AMEC and being a member again, because we value it. And we want to give back as much as AMEC has given to us. What's it given to us? It's given us friendships, experience, knowledge, education, learning, and also, frankly, if I'm honest, credibility as well. Of course, it gives credibility. It then gives you speaker platform opportunities. You absolutely get as much back as you put in. So, really great to see those of you who are considering joining the board here. Please do. And, thank you for your interest, and thank you for your participation. We look forward to having you closely involved with the community.
Thanks so much, Richard. And Nick, to your question, I think Richard covered a lot of that really well. Now, a fallacy that exists out there is that you must be on the board to volunteer. No, no, no. Volunteer opportunities are available for all of the members. People who run for the board are normally ones who are looking to have a larger leadership role, who have the extra time to be over the volunteer areas of a couple of different areas, and like we say, have a real appetite for broad support of AMEC and P&L responsibility, that they're able to support that. So it's an important distinction, but and if volunteering can come in a lot of different ways. We have the different regions, they need different speakers for upcoming Measurement Month activities. They have ongoing conversations. So there are a lot of ways to participate and to have your voice heard and to raise those efforts and initiatives that are important. We also have the all-member base camp chat forum that, if something is really a challenge that you and your organization are going through, you aren't sure where to get a certain data set, pop that into that all-member chat, and I can assure you, you are going to hear from a lot of people. If not within the base camp, they will reach out to you separately, because people do genuinely want to help. And it's very rare that you are the first person to be solving any particular challenge or problem. And so being able to learn from the experience of other members and from other experts is probably one of the greatest assets that we see in the community. So people are very open about, yeah, we've been doing this. Part of it sucked. Here's why. Here are the things that you can avoid. But, here's a way that you can navigate this in a more meaningful way. Here are those things that we found. And what does that do? That isn't just the experience of others, but that goes right to your bottom line. And when we look at the value of overall AMEC membership, and you can find savings for your organization and not having to recreate the wheel of need that you think you have, is a massive savings. And I think that, probably the majority of our members, if you take away one nugget that you're able to say, ooh, that's a good point, we hadn't thought about that in our methodology in something, that covers the AMEC membership with one interaction. And it's really important to understand the cost of doing some of your own research, the cost of doing some of your own findings, and being able to navigate that in a more meaningful way. It really is an important element. I want to go now to Anna's question about, oh no, I'm running, this feels scary. Yeah, it's not. It is a basic manifesto, and that is, what do you want to do? How do you want to lead? How do you want to contribute? What would be meaningful for you as an AMEC member in that category to see so that they will support your nomination. Each member will have, you run in your membership category. And then within that category, we need to have obviously a certain number of votes, but then each member will have a certain number of votes that they get within that category for the election cycle, depending upon how many seats we have. Very democratic. Very easy to understand and navigate. And so if there are more people who run than there are seats available, we have an election runoff, nail biting, feverish, the campaigning begins, millions are spent. Now, it's really a matter of like taking the effort to make some phone calls, reach out to the people in your category, see what's important to them, and then give them the confidence that you'll be representing them. Plus, it's something that you should be doing anyways, because those are your peer group. So you want to know, what are they thinking? What's important to them? And it helps. I think Anna was the one that said, let's be honest, we all compete. And that is one of the things that I love about AMEC, is that I know that these groups compete feverishly, feverishly and very rigorous throughout a lot of the bids and the things that are going out there. But what they also do is they do that in an ethical way. They do so in an ethical way, and then they are friends and colleagues at the conclusion of all of those battles. And that does make a difference, One of my favorite things is, things overheard at the AMEC Summit, as an example, is like, oh, how did you guys get that RFP? There's no way you should have beat us for that one, So it's all very good-spirited camaraderie, and it's something that I think makes the whole community stronger, and it makes the industry stronger, because that through that process, all of these organizations are upping their game incrementally, step by step, and you have the confidence to know that it's being done in an ethical way when they're AMEC members too. It's something that is really gives great pride in being able to be the CEO of the organization. For those of you who didn't know, I was a longtime member and a longtime board member before I took over the role as CEO. So this is definitely a passion job that I have, and hopefully it comes through for everyone who is a member of the organization to know that, we all have choices how we can spend our time, and it is with the great honor that I am able to spend my time as the CEO of AMEC. So I think those are all of the questions that we had. I want to open it up, though, to anybody else if you would like to make some parting comments, or if you're going to take this time and go work on your manifesto, maybe a little video entry for that October 6th deadline. Anything is possible. Stretch the boundaries. We obviously had the notification that went out to all members about the election. It will also be featured in the AMEC alert, which will go out normally the last business day of the month, unless it's on a Friday, in our inboxes for all of your out of offices, for all of you long weekend people. Make it so we really try to avoid those Fridays whenever possible. Are there any other final thoughts or last minute questions that you guys would like to cover off before we end this town hall session that has hopefully motivated many to run for the board, but also to just be more involved in a great community and to be able to work with the board directors in several different capacities as their time will permit? I will open up to everybody for a minute. All right. Getting a lot of shaking heads, some things in the chat. No, we're good. Well, again, thank you everyone for your time. It is an absolute pleasure. We look forward to seeing some new manifestos in for the elections and for welcoming our incoming board. We are a volunteer-driven organization, and only with our passionate volunteers is all of this possible. So hopefully we will see those manifestos coming in before November 6th. That is the deadline. Just for the sake of repeating, deadline means the final time that you can enter, not the only time that you can enter. So when you get things done in advance, don't feel like you need to hold it back until October 6th to submit. Obviously, an important point of distinction that sometimes might be lost in translation. Also, I hope that we will start to be posting some of the speakers for AI Day, which is very exciting. If it isn't as exciting for all of you, then something is wrong. Drink more caffeine and get excited about it, because this is going to be a day dedicated to AI. It's a one-day summit event, and we hope to see you there in person and virtually, that we will be able to do that through our sponsor, Ventla. So thank you everyone for your time, for your efforts, and for all of the wonderful feedback and for the energy that you bring to make AMEC a very special community.